Okay, let's take a look at today's batch of introductions for IELTS 9 Pro. So let's see what we have here. So as before, we've got a two-part question. Okay, so people prefer to go shopping in a supermarket rather than small shops or local markets. Why has this happened, and is it a good thing or a bad thing, etc. Okay, so all that we need 3 sentences. Paraphrase a topic, answer question 1, answer question 2. That will be fine. Okay, there are some people who opt to go shopping in the supermarkets. Okay, but where do you say something about small shops or local markets? Instead of, rather than? Nah, it's making too much fucking noise. Okay, we've got some more introductions to have a look at for IELTS 9 Pro. So, as before, we've got a two-part question. People prefer to go shopping in a supermarket rather than small shops or local markets. Why has this occurred? And question 2, is it a positive or a negative development? So all we need to answer this, we need 3 sentences, okay? Paraphrase the topic, answer question 1, answer question 2. That's it. So let me see, how could I paraphrase this? Some people would rather shop in the big markets instead of local shops. Okay, I could do that. People prefer, so instead of prefer, people would rather big markets or supermarket rather than small shops or local shops. So that's not bad. Some people go shopping in big markets instead of local shops. Why has this happened? In my view, this is due to, what's it due to? Convenience and pricing. So what I would probably talk about then in paragraph 2 is, because it's easier, I mean, you know, in the West, it's easier to just drive to a big out-of-town supermarket, get all your stuff there, rather than go to the butchers, the bakers, etc. It's the modern way. So some people would rather shop in the big markets instead of local shops. In my view, because it's asking me, this is due to convenience and pricing, and I would talk about, as I say, it's all in one roof, under one roof, and usually it's cheaper because supermarkets can buy in bulk. Okay, is it a positive or a negative development? Due to convenience and pricing, I'll say it's a negative one. Now, no, it's a positive one. Sometimes when you're writing these essays, it's not what your real opinion is, it's what you can support, what you can argue for or argue against. So if I were to say it's a negative development, I'd have to go into all kinds of things. If I say it's positive because of convenience and pricing, then that's something that I can write about in 30 minutes, So, okay, some people would rather shop in big markets than local shops. In my view, is due to convenience and pricing, and is definitely a major benefit to consumers. So you can see that, consumer. So you can see I've answered both questions in a single sentence. You can do that. You don't have to have 2, but we've got redefinition, restatement of the topic. Some people would rather shop in the big markets, blah, blah, blah. In my view, it's due to convenience and pricing, and it's definitely a major benefit. a positive. So what I'd be doing then, paragraph 2, it's happened because evolution of society means that big supermarkets, it's easier, people to go there, blah, 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 which is in itself a major benefit. So I might write paragraph 2 about convenience. I might write paragraph 3 about the pricing. I'm not really sure where the essay would actually go, but that's a general idea. Okay, so that's how I would paraphrase that. So let's see what you did. There are some people who opt to go shopping in the supermarkets instead of, or rather than, so you have to show a contrast. The major reason for this trend is, you see, diversity of goods, okay, and cheap products at supermarkets offer, in my view, the popularity of this kind of shop is a positive development. Now, so far so good, but since people no longer buy expensive products which have fewer certain brands, I'm not really sure what that means. That's not very clear. It was okay so far, but why wouldn't people buy which have fewer certain brands? So I'm not really sure what that means. So let's go on to the next one. It is preferred by people. Now, right. Use of passive is okay, but only when appropriate. And some passive phrasing doesn't really work. It is preferred by people. No one would actually say that. Some people prefer, or their preferences are, not it is preferred by people. That doesn't sound or read very natural at all. It is preferred by people to shop in the central malls. Well, is a central mall necessarily a supermarket? Now, a shopping mall is not the same as a supermarket. A shopping mall has lots of different shops, clothes and phones and, blah, 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 etc. A supermarket, usually, it's mainly food. There may be some other items, but the main business of a supermarket is actually food. So that's not quite the same thing there. Not quite the same thing. Comparing with, what do you mean compared with? Shopping in small shops and nearby markets. It has accrued. Well, accrued means when something builds or picks up over time, like you can accrue wealth, you increase it, you pick it up, but it doesn't necessarily mean increased. And in terms of collocation, we wouldn't really use that. We usually use accrued purely in terms of money, of finance, so we wouldn't use it there. Because people can buy anything, well, why would that be plural? Because people can buy anything which they need in a fewer price, I'm sorry, but the grammar and vocab in this one are not so good. I think you've written better before, which they need at a lower price, okay? And different sorts in the luxury shopping places. So what's with the subject and the verbs here? In a luxury shopping places, and different sorts of what? So that's not very clear. This action or these actions would be useful in the short term. Lots of grammar here. For families like expenses. What does that mean? This action or these actions would be useful in the short term for families like expenses. What, you mean families' life expenses? I mean, what, families' living expenses? I'm not really sure what that means. But in the long term, so don't forget, if you're writing something like short term or long term, we usually have a definite article. In the short term, in the long term, etc. It has some problems like unemployment for the society. What society? Don't need a definite article. And how would that lead to unemployment? Don't people work in central malls? Don't they employ people? So I'm not really sure how that would work. So that's not very clear at all. These days, hypermarkets are more appealing to people than local markets. Well, hypermarket or supermarket, okay, as they supply variety and a diversity of products for shoppers. Very good. In my opinion, it is a double-edged sword. That's not very academic. I wouldn't use that. In my opinion, it is a double-edged sword which would provide people's convenience, or how can you provide convenience which is convenient, or which would be convenient for people? However, and you haven't really answered the question. There's many negatives. You say it's a double-edged. It's not really asking that, What it's asking is, okay, why? Why do people go, right, to these markets? So you've basically answered that question there. Okay, so they supply variety and a diversity of products for shoppers, but don't the local shops do? It's just the local shops, you have to go from one to the other, butcher, baker, blah, blah, blah. So for convenience. But this next part, it doesn't really say. It says it's convenience, but there are negatives to consider. Now, I'm all in favour of keeping it simple, so why not just say yes, it's positive, or no, it's negative? Because if you're trying to write this kind of balanced essay, then unless you're very confident in your English, it could not work out. So I'd be very, very careful there. So I would be tempted to either go yes, no. Okay. It's been argued. Well, it's not been argued, has it? It's not an argument. Who is arguing? Is anybody arguing here? It's a statement. People prefer to go shopping. It's not an argument. An argument is when you present a series of statements designed to put forward a proposition or support a proposition or a point of view. That isn't an argument. It's a statement. It's a simple statement. People shop because. Okay. The majority, it's been argued that, so it doesn't say a majority. It doesn't say that at all. It doesn't say anything about a majority. It's simply people tend to buy their requirements. What are those? In bigger markets compared to small ones such as local shops. Additionally, this trend has become popular for urban areas in which there are a vast variety of shopping centres and malls advertising increasingly offering discount. What's this got to do with the topic? So what you need, restate the question, the topic as asked. Don't add anything, don't leave anything out, right? Some people, not everybody, some people or people prefer to go to supermarkets rather than small shops. Why has it happened? Is it because, what's this? Is it because of the advertising increasingly? So has that answered question 1 or not? And where's the answer to question 2? Is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? It doesn't tell me. So that needs a bit of attention, I think. Shopping has become, oh, right. Yes, well, I'm sure it has, but what's that got to do with the question? Now, you don't need these kind of generalizations to introduce your introduction. You don't need it. It's a phenomenon, it's a blah, blah. You don't. Simply get to the point. That's what examiners appreciate. So, shopping has become an indispensable part of life in today's world, and don't forget to pluralize that. Well, add an S. But possessive. But okay, but what's that got to do with shopping in supermarkets? Ah, right now, although access to local shops brings convenience to neighbours, great preference or greater preference to buy from a supermarket. By whom? Okay, in my view, this is a downside of improvement trend. How can an improvement trend have a downside? If something's improving, isn't it getting better? So I'm not quite sure how that works there. This is a downside of improvement trend. I'm not sure what that means. Which has been caused by significant tendency of adult citizens to luxury lifestyle. Why do we have this preposition to what? Do we need a verb here? To luxury lifestyle and changing their shopping habits. Well, so this doesn't really answer any of the questions, really. Well, in a very general way. So you say, you haven't really said why. Well, kind of, but you put it in the wrong order. So there's a downside of improvement trends. So I suppose you're trying to say that it's a negative. So that's more or less addressing question 2, which has been caused by significant tendency of adult citizens to what? Luxury life. So it's kind of answering, but in a very roundabout way. The examiner would not be spending too much time deciphering this. Nowadays, purchasing goods from supermarkets is favoured over shopping in small. Okay, yeah, that's good. Yeah. Occasional discounts within the choice, which to my mind, but okay, now you see, now that's not so bad. Okay, right. So buying from supermarkets is favoured. Okay, might be caused by occasional discounts, freedom of choice, which are positive. So that's answered it. Answered both of the questions. So not bad, not bad. Obviously, why is it obvious? We don't need that. Simply say more people, more people are keen to purchase their own stuff. Why would you buy something that you own already? You mean to purchase stuff or things, goods, items? Stuff's a bit informal. To purchase goods from the shopping malls. In my standpoint, well, it's not in my standpoint, it would be from my standpoint, or, as most people would just say, in my opinion, this phenomenon, it's not a phenomenon, is further rising. What you mean is increasing via TV and internet advertisements. Okay, so people are buying from the shopping malls because they can see advertisements on TV. Okay, definitely there is some extra discounts. What you mean, there are some extra discounts available in these, watch your subject verbs, huge shops, but research has shown it leaves people to buy more than they need. Hence they haven't lost, they've simply spent. Since they spend more money compared to small local markets. Well, why would you spend more? Okay, so this seems to me a very roundabout way saying that it's a negative. That's how it seems. But try and make it clear. This is positive, this is negative, etc. Okay, so not too bad. We'll go back to my quick introduction. There we go. That's it. That's all that you basically need. So good. I hope you get something out of this, and see you for the next time. Okay.